Let's see. Is it saying we're live yet? Got a lot of spinning. I think we're live. I think we're good to go. Good morning, Doreen. I'm so excited you're having a good time. Let's see. All right, make sure that the cameras are good. Cool. Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday brunch. How's everybody doing? Good morning, Tangle Zest. I'm switching things up a little bit from what we talked about last week. I'm actually going to work on block B2 because it's a faster block to sew up. Fewer pieces, five units, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 units. And so I want to show building the actual block together. So I switched it up a little bit so that we can do the whole block together. Hi, Mary H. Hi, Ingrid. Hey, Russ. Hi, Shelly. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, we still got a little bit of shine happening off of this machine. Is the light all the way off? No, the light is not all the way off. There we go. That's better. I have to turn everything off so my machine looks like it's not even on in order to make this not a spotlight back up at you guys. So yeah, so today we're going to work on block B2A because I want to show building the whole block together. I also want to show you that even though I've been doing this for a while, I still run into issues and blocks sometimes still give me a problem. And I want to talk to you about what my troubleshooting is going to be about. So as everybody's coming in, say hello to everybody. Ooh, Tangle Zest is saying she has the joy of cleaning the sewing room today. If I'm not even going to, but this side of this table is a disaster area, and I have to clean. Maybe I'll do that. Oh, you've inspired me. Maybe I'll clean that up later today. I have projects stacked on stacked and stacked, and they're not even in like their project boxes. It's just the leaning tower of Pisa. The architects and engineers that are keeping that alive would be very proud of what I've got going on over here and how I've got it all stacked and hasn't fallen, and a cat hasn't knocked it down yet. I don't even know how that's happened. Yeah, Designing Jay says, I need to clean my sewing room too. Glad you can't see it. But okay, so let's talk a little bit about this. So this is still Mini Blue Jay and block A1 and A2. And because of all of these seams, I'm having an issue where I made a decision not to unpick an area where this part looked really good in where the fabric was, but the end of the block, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, is kind of weird. I don't know how to explain it. And I have knocked this part down with a hammer a couple of times, but it's still giving me serious issues. And you can see it's just not lining up right. And I thought I had it pinned to the gods. I thought we were going to be just fine. I'm really happy with how it's lining up the rest of the way down. It's not ironed, so you can't really see as well. But the rest of the way down, I'm really happy with how it's lining up. But there's something with the head, and I'm on my second tear it out. But I will not, if this doesn't line up better than this, I won't be happy with that. So, and this situation for me, I'm going to take out all of the papers that are around this section, like the upper head part here. I'm going to take these papers out because I feel like the structure that the papers are giving that I usually really enjoy when I'm putting the blocks together. It helps with the sewing. It's the rigidity, I guess, the papers give, I think makes sewing the pages of the blocks together much easier. But because of this weird bit that I've set myself up for, it's not giving enough give in order to line it up. So that this is something you might run into, and I didn't want to unpick it for the third time and try to fiddle with it without talking about that with you guys today. Doesn't matter how long you've been doing this, you're going to run into things like this that, you know, same with traditional piecing, things just don't want to line up for you, and you've got to kind of either come to the point where you're fine with what it looks like, or kind of MacGyver your way into figuring out how to make it work for you. So for me, I'm the next step I'm going to do is, again, taking out the papers around this area so that the fabric has a little more give, and hopefully won't look all. I also think because of what I was trying to do with the paper in it, it also looks like a little wonky and wobbly more than I want it to. So there we go. That's the explanation of how I'm going to troubleshoot this one weird area where everything else is lining up, and I'm really happy with how it looks. So that's how I'm going to fix that, and I will post pictures about that. And then when we come back next week to put the 4 blocks together, I'll show you what in the end it ends up looking like. So cool. That's that. Now I'm going to go ahead and get started on, again, block B2A, or B2, so that we can put the whole block together today and show you how I do that. So yeah, I'll stop rambling and I will get started. But tell me if you are not working on the mini Blue Jay, what you're working on today. Like what I know we have a couple of sewing room cleaners. We are here for you, my friends. But what else are you up to today? And I will, as a reminder, when I pre-cut for things like this, I always have my fabrics. So I know anytime I sit down at my table that the fabrics are pinned and lined up the same way every time. So it's just muscle memory at this point. My fabrics are lined up 1 through however many pieces of fabric are going to be on that unit. So this is a fun shape, lots of long pieces of fabric. So if you don't like the long strips, you can always pin inside of any of the sewing lines and hold the pieces together, or you can do a little bit of glue. No worries. Tangles says, no, we don't want to hear it. I'm still at the stage that paper piecing solves every problem. Where is the sand? I believe that that foundation paper piecing FPP does fix a myriad of issues that I have with traditional piecing. But once you get it to this part, once you have all of these awesome crisp join sections and points and all that kind of stuff, then it's a piece of fabric, just like a traditional piece of fabric that you haven't cut up and put together. And then it's up to you to figure out how to make sure all of these seams line up with the next piece. And that's where we can run into some issues. So I don't want to pretend like these things don't happen to everybody. Unfortunately, they do. Yeah, Ingrid's saying if it'll blend in, I'll leave it. Absolutely. Like there are spots that are not like not at all spot on perfection. Like look at that. Like but that's like that isn't even 1/8 of an inch. Unpicking that and redoing it, that is fine. And when you quilt it, nobody's going to see that. I am not worried about that at all. Some spots I got right on, and I celebrate those spots. But these spots, I'm not worried about that in the slightest. I didn't even do one unpicking on that area. But yeah, if it's a huge, like, to me, that's too much. For my brain, that's too much. It might not be for somebody else's. And more power to them. Keep on going. Keep keep sewing along and be happy. For me, this is too much, because this is something that I would want to bring, because she's so small and cute and petite. This is something that I would want to bring to classes. And that's not necessarily something I would want to uh, show off as a teacher, I guess, if that makes sense. Just, I don't know. I hold myself at a little bit of a higher standard, because this is something, just like it with a show quilt. If it had something like this, you wouldn't want to put that in a show. As a teacher that I would be showing to students and having them pass around something that big, it wouldn't make me happy. And I would not want students to see it. So that's where that lies for me. Tis all. Shelly's sewing I'm now referring to it as the baby blue jay, and designing Jay. Johanna is. Tangles S says, my paper piecing project is a kit I got at a retreat. The Forest Abstractions. Oh, nice. I would love to see pictures of that. If you would share those, maybe over on SleighArts on Facebook, or tag me in it in Instagram if you're on that. That would be exciting. Or send me an email. I would love to see that. All right, so we're going in. If I don't stop talking, we're never going to get to the point of putting these together. All right. So piece one. Again, if it makes you more comfortable, you can throw a pin in the paper. It's a long strip, so it can get floppy. For things like this is another one of the reasons why over cutting to make the piece longer or wider is helpful, because if it does move a little bit, the chances of it moving so much it's out of seam allowance is less. But if it makes you more comfortable to pin, or if it makes you more comfortable just pinned, but then I'm got it all wonky, so you can pin it on there, so you have a little bit more control. And I've pinned it within the sewing line, so it won't get in the way. And it's a small head pin, so it won't get in the way of the sewing needle or the sewing foot or anything. Or if you have one of the glue sticks, one of these, or even like the Elmer's washable, totally, that works too. You can do a couple little dabs, and hold it in place. Well, I just showed you how to pin, so I'll show you what I would do with glue. And not a whole lot, and not even like covering the whole area. I would just do a little dab at the top and a little dab at the bottom. Go ahead and do that. And for this, since it's across the seam allowance, I might do a little dab all the way down here, just to help it hold the piece all the way together. Just make sure you're smoothing it straight, but not pulling the fabric out of shape. So, and that'll hold it enough for us to go ahead and move on to piece two. Let me get a good idea where piece two is. Hi, Melissa. How are you doing? Melissa says, I have the mini Blue Jay, but haven't started it yet. No worries. There is no time frame that you are beholden to. I'm excited that you have it and you will be joining in the fun. I think for some reason, the larger one I keep calling a he, and for this little one I keep calling a she. I feel like that is inherited like bias that I have in my head. But there it is. That's why I keep referring to her as a she. For some reason she's little and petite, so I think that she's a she. Okay, then we're gonna go ahead, and then from this point on, it's really traditional piecing, because you're just putting right sides together and sewing at a quarter-ish inch seam allowance just across the sewing line of the paper. A little dabble, do you? Tickles that says, "Oh, now I have somebody to answer to." Yes, I really hope you do. Whenever it is, 4 months, 6 months, whenever. I really do hope you share it with us. So I've gone ahead and sewn. I'm going to like push it back and kind of audition, make sure I'm happy with where it's covering. And then because I overcut them, there's a big old overhang. You can leave that if you want to. I'm going to go ahead and trim it down closer to a quarter-inch. Shelly says, I bought the BJ for myself. Lord, I'm a 12-year-old boy when it comes to humor. I bought the Blue Jay for myself, but I decided to frame it and gift it to my mom. Oh, I love that. Oh, that's what I did for the mini rose. I framed it for my mom too. I love that. I'm excited that you're going to do that. All right, just trim this down a little bit. For me, it just makes me happier to have it a smaller, closer to an actual quarter of an inch. And I'm gonna return back on my iron because it had turned itself off. Do a little bit of magic juice. Oh, as a reminder, if you guys are here and you have your own YouTube channel that you would like to share, do an exclamation mark selfie, all lowercase, all mushed together, no spaces in between the exclamation mark and the word selfie. And Nightbot will highlight your YouTube channel for you. Oops. Just ironed a little bit of a tuck on the first fabric. Let's undo that. So yeah, that's a fun thing. You can do the exclamation mark. I'm happy that Nightbot today hasn't been telling us we've already been here for an hour when we've been here for 5 minutes. When you sew outside of the seam allowance, you just pull it back a little bit. This is where the tiny stitch length comes in handy. You're not going to pull. I mean, don't go Hulk on the paper on the seam, but you'll have a good chance of not pulling the stitches out. Line this one up. In this pattern, they really have the sew lines go way deep into the seam allowance, and I'm really bad at following that recommendation. But you can follow that sew line all the way out. Where we go, where I mean is like here, where the sew line goes all the way out to that. I'm horrible about following that. Ooh, is anybody listening? I have audiobook and I am wrapping up the listening to the Harry Potter series again because around this time of the year I always I always end up listening to Harry Potter. Is anybody listening to anything new? I don't want to recycle the same books over and over again. Doesn't necessarily have to be the um fantasy genre like uh Harry Potter is. Something new. This is part of the reason why sewing all the way out like they had drives me insane because it's just a lot more paper to have to pull back to get the next piece on. And that frustrates me. Ugh, there we go. It's good enough. Like that. Trim it down. See, when we trim to the 1/4 inch, none of this matters anymore. So I just don't follow that all the way down. Hey, Catherine, how are you doing? All right, this one, when we pull it back to the sew line, kind of goes off at an angle up to the, looking at it this way, upper left corner angle. So we want to make sure that we're aligning our paper to do that as well, or our piece of fabric to do that as well. When we flip the paper back over, it's not going to look like it should work, but it will. So I know that I've got coverage because it's coming up over here, and the feel test on the back, I know that it's covering the whole spot. So we're good to go. And all these browns, you can tell you're definitely working on the branch. Good morning. So blessed by Jess. How are you doing this morning? Hey, Karen. You can see everybody this morning. So, see, it looks weird because the fabric is going at this angle and the paper looks like it's just going straight. But the sew line, when you flip it over, it'll cover the paper nice. There we go. I am going to go ahead and jump into the next piece as well. Keep that line going. How's everybody's weekend been? If you guys aren't listening to any audiobooks, how has the weekend been? My baby boy's birthday yesterday. Baby boy who is in his 20s. You'll always be my baby. See, Jess, So Blessed by Jess says, I have the Blue Jay fabric all organized and ready to go. I need to go back and watch last week's video. I'm so excited. I'm so happy for you. Please reach out if you have any questions or run into any issues. This week we're working on, and Catherine says, what are you working on? So this week we're working on, or I'm working on block B1, no, B2 rather, of the mini blue jay from Legit Kit. And I'm working on this block instead of B1 because B1 is about 75 pieces. It's not really 75, but it's more units to put together. B2 is only 5 units, and then we can start building the block. And I wanted to show that. So I started with B2 instead. I'm excited that Justin to get some sewing today. Designing Jay, Johanna says, my baby boy will be 50 next month. It's amazing how they keep growing. And I just keep at 16. I honestly would not want to be 16 again in this era of social media and everything is online and scrutinized. The stuff I used to get into. Whew. To be fair, I was a jock and I was captains of my team, so there was only so much shenanigans I felt comfortable getting myself into. But even those I wouldn't want publicized on someone's YouTube channel or anything. Let's do it this way. Yeah, that's better. Oh, I was just thinking for my audiobook dilemma that I'm having about what I'll listen to next. I should look at uh actors that I really like who have read books and see what books they have available. I think that would be a fun way to do it. Decide what book it's going to be based on the voice that's going to be saying it to me. Oh, yeah, that might be fun. How did I determine that this was going to cover? I like that. Okay. Go. Yeah. See, I like when I have them set up in two, so I can work on one while the other one is cooling down from being ironed or pressed. That helps me get things moving quicker. Production line going. I'm just eyeballing the 1/4 inch. You can always line up your ruler against that folded back sew line and trim to a 1/4 inch. That also works. Go. Still cloudy here in Frederick, where I'm at. We had a very dreary Friday, Thursday, and Friday. Wednesday morning, we had to de-ice the windows on our cars. Not ready for it to be that cold. Right. Tails, I said I wouldn't be 16 again ever. I worked too hard to learn from the few bits of wisdom I have. 16-year-old body though. Yeah, see? That'd be okay. Oh geez. Yeah, at 16, I was in the prime doing all of the every sport. I thought I was hot stuff. You couldn't tell me nothing. So I'm just going to leave the pieces and trim them all together at the end. So these first two are done. And then I'll start these two next. So yeah, these two pieces are all sewn. They look funky because I haven't trimmed them down yet, but we'll trim them all together when we're done with all 5 units, and then we'll sew them up together. I have the paper for the assembly guide. Yeah, we'll do it all together like that. So piece 1. Love these greens. Piece 2. Here. I was reading something, scrolling through Instagram or something or other, and someone was talking about how they earned all of the wrinkles that they have, all the laugh lines, all that kind of stuff, and talked about the wrinkle, like it right in between your eyes, the thing, the whatever the little post said, that's their WTF wrinkle, and that just keeps getting deeper every year. And I have that from doing this a lot. What? So, yep. Having raised kids, I've earned that deep what the heck look. From working with other human beings, I've earned that. I just thought that was cute. All right, this is a piece that we're going to have big hunks of fabric, but they're at the end, so we're not going to have to hold them in place like with the first piece we did. The long strip was the first one we worked with, so you could pin that or glue tack it down. These are going to be at the end, and so a little less difficult to hold on to. So we'll go ahead and get started on this one. I start my new job tomorrow, which is a little bit kind of like back into the old world, but it's not government contracting anymore. And it's working for a local, well, I don't necessarily know that it's so local, but um, a scientific corporation here, where the office is right down 4 minutes from my house, basically. So I'm excited to start that adventure tomorrow. We have little like uh, mentors from day one kind of thing. And I was talking to her last week, and she was saying that the team is very excited to have me on board. And I know I'm really going to get along with this mentor, because she said, and they're also really excited because we get to take you to lunch on Monday and everybody loves a free meal. I was like, yes, that's what I would be excited about a new person starting to. Oh, that means we get to go to lunch. I love that. So I like the sarcastic humor she already has. That's going to be good. Again. Oh, if you'll see, I go back and forth. I don't know why. I just do. Sometimes I'll cut the 1/4 inch with a pair of scissors, like I just did. Sometimes I'll use my rotary cutter. Whatever works. No, no rules. If I can't find my rotary cutter because the cats have had a field day with it, scissors. Scissors will be what I use. All right, 22, 3. I'm excited to see the tree branch starting to come together. Oh, I should pull the picture of the project out. So everybody that doesn't know what Mini Blue Jay looks like will know what she looks like. Oh, yeah. Tago's S was saying, faces without a few wrinkles look blank, unfinished. Yeah. They don't have enough story yet. Uh-oh. I must have shifted that on my way to the sewing machine because I moved it down and now it's not caught. That'll happen sometimes. A little shift in transit. Oh, you know what? I use my little electric seam ripper. Yeah, I didn't even catch half of it. Definitely shifted in transit to the machine. Hi, Janice. Oh no, YouTube didn't notify you. Well, I'm glad you're here. Oh, no, I'm not going to be able to use this for where it didn't catch two pieces of fabric. I'm glad you're here. Sometimes YouTube doesn't tell me about somebody being live for like 2 days. It's the weirdest thing. It's frustrating, but I'm glad you're here now. Let me get these glasses out of my way so I can see these stitches. There we go. Flip that all the way off. Pull out the weird little fuzzies that are left. Let's get that better aligned. Well, let's do it from this side so I know what we're lining up against and figure out how I went wrong in moving it. Because I thought I had it all the way up here. And apparently I did not. Okay, no moving. Oh, it might have also been when I slid it under my machine. Sometimes if you find that happens, if the feed dogs catch your fabric and move it when you're sliding it to be under your needle, you can roll your feed dogs down just a little bit, like just roll it just enough so the feed dogs are just under the plate, and then uh slowly roll your needle back up, and then the feed dogs won't catch your fabric. I usually have that problem with smaller pieces of fabric. It'll make it crooked, but that might have been what happened with this larger piece. Could have been. There we go. Last piece on this one. Nope. Yep. Wait. Yes. Yes. Uh-oh. I think I'm missing a piece. This is WS. I definitely don't have the P. Okay. I'll have to go back. Oh, I bet you what I did. Me thinking I was being so smart. I knew that I'd cut this piece of P really big, and was thinking that, so past self was thinking that future self would be like, oh, I get it. I cut it so big so that I had it for piece 2 and piece 5, but future me was not hip to what past me was doing. So I didn't realize that was the game plan. But that's all right. Now I'll just have to cut another little piece of the black. Which will be fine. It's a very small little section that we'll have to cover. Come on now. Go ahead and find P right now. Yeah, if I just cut this little triangle-y piece off, that'll be big enough to cover. I know we have plenty of the black for the pieces we need to do, so I'm not worried about that. All right. Next one here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Kelly green. Long strip. Again, this is the one we're lining up against a piece that's already solidly on our foundation. It's not as difficult. We just got to make sure we hold it in place. All right, we are chugging along. Last piece on this one. I might go ahead and frame the little blue jay too. Definitely not going to frame the large blue jay. That's too much. But I might frame the little one. I think I can't even imagine how expensive a frame big enough for the larger one would be. Hi, Candace. Good morning. Or is it afternoon yet? Good. Hello. How are you doing? That's piece 6. Why don't I have piece 5? Well, that's only 2 pieces. What did I do? Kelly green is a big swatch. That. And then. There we go. Don't know how I didn't do it, but I didn't. But we got it added, so we are good to go. Make sure we got it all lined up. Oh, Candace says, working on Christmas socks for my daughter and her roommates. That's adorable. How are you making the Christmas socks? Christmas, oh wait, Christmas, wait, socks, stockings. I know autocorrect is not my friend, so no, I have. Stockings, not socks. Cool. I love that. It's awesome. All right, there's that piece done, and we'll trim it coming up. Trim this extra. I want to find a good knitting pattern for stockings. My grandmother on my mom's side, who taught me how to knit everybody stockings with their name in them, which I think was a big thing because everybody I know, I feel like their grandmothers did that. So I think it was a big thing, like in the 70s and 80s. But I like that tradition, and I think it would be fun to do it. And doing it quilty is cool too, but I want to like pay homage to my grandmother. So I think I'm going to find a pattern. Find out what cousins might not have gotten one. I'm not sure where that ended off. Both of my kiddos got them. So yeah, I think that'd be fun to go back. Candace says it's a quilted stocking using a free pattern from Eric Arndt. Mary Erica from YouTube. I love it. During Vlogmas last year, I think it was during Vlogmas, I did an AccuQuilt stocking. So I very much enjoy the stocking making. Oh, it's almost time to hang it back up again. It goes right here on this command hook. Nightbot's reminding us it's time to stretch. There we go. Right. No, this is the last one, and this is just two pieces of hefty sized pieces of fabric. Ingrid says, I want to try to knit again. Haven't been able to master knitting yet, but I haven't given up. I love it. For me, I really like the tie back to my grandmother. And my middle sister also knits. Baby sister does all kinds of crafts too. Just knitting wasn't one of them. All right. Because these are two big pieces of fabric, I'm going to do this more on the table, laying down, making sure we're getting our seam allowance lined up, making sure this second piece, they're both green. You might not be able to tell this close, making sure I'm covering all of the piece. Doing it lying flat on the table sometimes helps when the pieces of fabric are so big and fluffy. Doing it this way helps. And then I'm just picking up and bringing to the machine. I'm not even flipping over the paper yet until I'm at the machine, holding it down. And then I'll flip the paper back like that. And then I'll sew. Shelly says, short story, my mom has Alzheimer's. Blue is her favorite color. She also has multiple birdhouses and feeders in the yard. Oh, gifting the blue jay. Oh my gosh, Shelly, that's beautiful. That's sweet. That is beautiful. Oh, Designing Jay says, made a big mistake today. Hadn't cut out B2 yet. Cut out B2A, B, C, and D, only to find that D had the E block behind it. Glad I'd made a copy. I printed a new E on newsprint paper. Oh, Joanna, that is always like, oh no. But I'm glad you caught it. And that, yeah, that is a big reason to recommend making copies of it, like storing it digitally, your own copy of the pattern pieces for really anything that you're working on. If you're working on like a templates or a foundation, for those things, because oh, that's just heart stopping. Johanna also says she knits and crochets. Haven't knitted in a while. Right? There's not enough time in the day to do all the things. And then I go and I like watch things on YouTube. And I was watching this woman, she does microwave ceramics where she throws like little mini pots and little mini bowl thingies, and then has just old microwaves that she fires the ceramic in her microwave. And all of the stuff is on YouTube, or on YouTube, on Amazon, that you can get like the gloves you need and the little kiln, the little microwave kiln that you need. And now I'm like, well, now I have to do this. Now I have to learn how to do this. One of the things that my sister does is resin, the baby sister, and she was making pots and everything. I mean, really intricate stuff that had like screw tops for them and everything. And the resin was doing that, but doing it in clay. And then there's this other guy who I also watch. He was on I call them all Great British, whatever. I'm not sure if it's a Great British Pottery Showdown or not, but he he has a little mini wheel. It's really tiny, and he throws little tiny things on the mini wheel, and that's available to buy too. So y'all catch me down the rabbit hole of pottery making. I just don't say I didn't warn you. All right, so now all the pieces are done. Oh, we're good on time. So now we're going to trim these up. I talked about this a little bit. Shelly says, thank you, Shannon. Oh, I wish I could be there when she opens the gift. That would be sweet to be able to be there. I know she's going to love it though. Oh, blue is her favorite color too. That's just perfect. Trimming down our little units. I talked last week about always using the same ruler. Uh, it's kind of along the same lines of don't start a project on one machine and finish it on another one, because little tiny things switch up when you do that. I always try to use the same ruler when I'm trimming my blocks, because the 1/4 inch, the paint, or the, well, I don't know what else to call it, the whatever they use to draw the lines on the ruler, they are different thicknesses, and so that can impact um, what your 1/4 inch actually looks like when you're trimming it. So for consistency's sake, and just not to add another layer of randomness to putting the blocks together, I try to use the same ruler over and over again within any one project. Follow the same reasoning of why I'm lining up the 1/4 inch and in what spot I'm lining it up for the entirety of the project. So I just avoid, there are enough things to drive you crazy when you're trying to put the units together and you're trying to match all the points, that having a discrepancy in what your 1/4 inch may look like, I just like to avoid adding that to the list. So try to use the same ruler. One piece all trimmed. Right. So this is quiet time when I'm trimming blocks. So I got to remember you guys are out there watching. Oh, there's another one all trimmed up. And even with these longer ones, I'll still use the same ruler. I'll just, move the ruler down because again, just the consistency's sake, want to make sure. Oh, you know what? I started trimming that, but what I will recommend for pieces that are longer than this, if you do the shorter ends first, it'll make the longer section shorter. And you may be able to get most, if not all, that longer piece trimmed by having the shorter ends already taken care of. So I'll reline up this part. Starting to have a frog in my throat. I think I had it last week too. And start having Jessica Rabbit sultry voice here in a bit. So that gave us more shortened the block so I could get more of the ruler along the longer end by cutting off those short ends first, which I think is helpful. Right, there we go. The branch all trimmed up. So again, I'll do these, the short end. Take care of that. This is a shorter end, so I'll take care of this one. There we go. Now for block B1 that has more units, has 16 units. The biggest thing I can say for the multi-unit blocks is to take your time. Don't try to sew too fast because that'll start moving things when you're putting them together to sew along the seam line. Pinning is your friend. Doing the airplane, coming in at a tight angle so you don't move the papers is your friend. But I definitely think the sewing it slower, like a steady, like slow pace is definitely a big deal, so that you're not making the fabric shift, but you're sewing fast enough to sew over the seam allowances assertively. So the needle is coming down with force, but you're not sewing so fast that when things start to go wrong, you can't like self-correct. It's a balancing act. And you get, the more of the units you start putting together, the better you get at it. So here is all of the nice dark greens. Those are my favorite greens. And then this last piece. I'm really gonna have to bust my hump this week because block 2, or no, block B1 has all those pieces, and I'm starting the new job, so I'm going to need to make sure it's set and ready to go for next week. Darn, I may have to sit here at my sewing machine all day today. Boo hoo, huh? I'll be devastated to have to do that. Oh, I'm doing the Modern Quilt Guild mini quilt swap, which is like, it has to be at least 24 by 24 inches. And they hook you up with a Modern Quilt Guild partner, and they're doing the same thing for you. And you just give them a little bit of insight about what you would like to see. And so I got matched up with my person, and I'm excited because she likes colors that aren't normally in my wheelhouse, really bright, super bright, like Entula pinks and things like that. And I don't mind them. I'm more an earthy tone kind of gal like this. So I'm excited. I already know what pattern I'm doing for her and what I'm building for her. So I get to start that too. It's not due until February, so I have a little bit more time for that, but I'm excited to get it started because it's going to be gorgeous and I'm really happy. I'm not using Tula because I don't have enough Tula pink fabrics to create what I'm trying to create, but I'm going to use really bright batiks, which I'm really excited about. I love batiks. So, and I'm doing it in FPP. Big shocker, I know. Ingrid says, "Are you excited for the new job? And we'll be thinking of you." Yeah, I'm really. The first day is always kind of like, because you're going to do orientation. Like I have site orientation, and we're going to go to lunch, and I'll be a part of the first stand-up meeting. So the first day is always kind of just, easy breezy. So. All right, so to start putting the units together into sections, I'm going to go ahead and lay this out. So first, I'm going to get all of this off my table. It's going to drive me to distraction. So yeah, first day will be easy. I'm excited about that. So A is up here, and I'm following the paperwork. Here, let me get B1 out of the way. But B2A is up here. Then B and C are here. And so we'll be sewing A to B, and then AB to C, and then ABC to D, and then all of those to E. ABC, D will go to E. So this is the breakdown of what it will come together. And for this one, now it isn't always like this. A2 was like you sewed A through F together, but then you jumped and then you were sewing like L and M and building back up to, so they're not always just A, B, C, D, E. But this one is, which is fun. So we'll get to do it together. So first we'll do A to B, and then this unit, we'll sew these two units into the AB section. And AB section will be sewn to unit C, and then it'll become ABC. And then we'll sew ABC section to unit D, and then A through D section to unit E, and then we'll have our whole block built. Woohoo! So that's what we're up to. So I'm not going to need to keep that paperwork there because it is just an ABCD lineup. But I will move these pieces out of the way. And this is where we can use we got Dusty's from trimming. The magic white lines from Legit Kits, which you can create on any FPP project that you do. A lot of even mine, on my patterns, that you just end at the sew lines, and the lines, these white ones that extend, is just extending the sewing line all the way through the unit, all the way through to help you line up the pieces together. Because when they're just sitting here, it kind of, well, this one's a little bit, well, but still, it kind of doesn't look like how are you going to get it together? It looks longer. It doesn't look like it's gonna work doesn't look like it's going to match. So extending those lines, the sew lines all the way through, helps you line it up. So if you are comfortable just lining up with those magic lines to line it up and then comfortable just sewing, you can certainly do that. Just check, check both sides, make sure that feels like it's going to work. Often with these long ones, at the weird angles, see this sew line goes way past where the actual this block ends, so that can get weird. So another thing you can do is the pinning I was talking about, where we start with one pin in the corner, going through and finding the corner on this one, holding that in place, then grabbing your next pin and putting that in this corner. This is definitely a not as a acute angle. I had to think about my words there. Acute, yeah, it's more of an obtuse angle, so it's a little flatter. So finding that corner may be a little less precise, but then we'll pin it through on the other side onto this paper in its corner. Here we go. There. All right, and then we'll, hold these straight. And this is where we're going to do the airplane, where I'm going to come in. Make sure I've got that straight. I'm going to come in with another pin, and I'm going to come in at a deep angle. Fudge. I don't know if you're going to be able to see, like a deep angle, so that I'm not moving the papers. This is difficult to show, but I want to come in at an angle where I'm not shifting any of the papers, and I want to come in on the sewing line, and I want to make sure I'm coming out on the sewing line behind, which I don't know shows up in the camera, but I came out through the sewing line. I'm going to come back down, keeping that tight angle, and come back out. There we go. And come back out on the sewing line. So that was a really nice one. And then you can remove these pins that'll get in the way of your sewing machine because they're standing upright. So you can just get those guys out of the way. For longer pieces, you might need to airplane a couple of pins to hold it together. For this one, it's not such a wide sew, so just the one will work just fine. And then you'll just have to remember, because the pin is going right across your sew line, that you're going to need to pull the pin sooner, like inch it out sooner, since it's right in the way of the needle, and you will for sure break your needle. It won't have any chance to like sew over the hump. I made the airplane sound in my head. Managed to not do it out loud. So yeah, so I just start inching the pin out, so I'm sure not to land on it with my needle. Oh, I meant to show that you can, when the pin is in, you can audition. I meant to show that, but I forgot. So let's pull this back and see all of our, I don't know if you can tell, the points are all kind of coming together in this one section, and I'm happy with that. So I'm going to pull, I will pull always for every project, I'll pull the paper out of the seam allowance that is holding the two units together, because that's just unnecessary bulk. So I'm going to pull these papers out. I'm using my tweezers to help with the really tight spots to get the paper out. But yeah, in the seam allowance, I always pull the paper. And in my head, I always do make the airplane sound. Oh. I mean, we're supposed to be having fun, right? So that is fun to me. Okay. There we go. So I will press this open and then we will go on to C. And from here, it's really following the same course of action. I'm going to do the seams open. Without burning myself, thank you. There we go. I try to always do the seams open when you have all of these little seam allowances coming together from building the units. But sometimes you will find that you're putting a unit together that has a really long stretch of just one piece of fabric. Then I would not double back the one section that has a couple different sections coming, or a couple different seams coming together. I wouldn't double that on itself. I would just sew to the one side that has less fabric. All right, we're gonna let that set so that the iron can convince it to stay flat. Then I'll hit it with my magic juice. I might go ahead and press it with the clapper as an additional assist on keeping that little section flat. Because then we're going to add C to the section that had the open seam. So see that I press that open. And it's together right here. And so C, oops, we'll go here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pin into the corners. And then this is a really small one. I may just use a magic clip at this point because of how small it is. You can do the airplane again. Because it's so small, you can just go for it. Whatever makes you comfortable, I want you to do. I'll show you. Oops. Lining up for the seam allowance, or the extended lines for the seam allowance. This is where we'll line those white lines up. I'm going to make sure that that jives with the pins in the corners. So let's make sure. I feel like I can move it over just a smidge. Wasn't quite in that corner where I would want it to be. There we go. So that's one corner in there. Let's do the next one. Well, again, with how small this is, I might not pin this next one because it's just laying flat already. So I'm going to go ahead and in my head make the airplane sound. Make sure I'm going in on the sew line, out on the sew line, back in on the sew line, and oops, back up. Nope. All right now. Oh, it's caught on my finger. It's like, why is it not coming back out? I had pinned my just enough. Have you ever done that where you get just enough of the skin of your finger where you're not actually hurt because it didn't like go through enough to hurt you? But I was actually pinned to a section. It was just through like the top layer of skin. That was pretty funny. I thought that was interesting. Right. Start pulling the pin back. Nice. Uh-oh, I think I got some movement, but let's see. Oh no, that's good. That's good. I definitely got some movement there at the back end. So I might just peel it back a little bit, straighten up the back side. I got a little bit faster at the end once I pulled the pin out. And what I was saying might happen, it starts getting squirrely. It definitely did. So I'm just gonna pull it back a smidge and finish it from this side so I can watch against what was moving. Forgive my old eyes where I have to look out over my glasses. I guess my eyes forgot that I'm only 16. I have a 16-year-old. It's definitely betraying me that I don't have that 16-year-old body anymore. Okay. So yeah, so I'm gonna sew from this side so that I can make sure I am not shifting it like I did from the other side. And go nice and slow. Keep it, hold it together. There we go. Much better. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, again, I'll take all this paper out from the seams. There we go. Ugh, all right. Trying to keep my finger out of the way of the iron. There you go. Come back at it this way. Right. I'm gonna trim some dog ears or rabbit ears. I think, is it in Britain they call it rabbit ears? Can't remember. The bits that are up above the sew line. Oh, actually, this is the outside of the block. I don't know that that really matters. All right, so ABC is together. Now we're going to line up D. And this is going to be one where I say patience because it has the long, long, thin strip. So we're going to line it up. You can pin again. I think I'm going to go for it. Not as many seams coming together with this bottom one. And the top one is just one piece of fabric. We were talking about that, where it comes together like that sometimes. So I'm not worrying as much. Still want to keep on the sew line. So I'm maintaining my 1/4 inch. So at a steady pace. Ingrid says she's done that with the getting pinned to the project. I mean, we're artists, right? We are always putting a piece of us into the project. So there we go. We've got this join right here where these two pieces of fabric come together. And then it goes just to this really big just piece. Is that, yeah, QZ. I don't remember what the color of that is. I just remember that it's green. Oh, take the papers out. Tweezers are helpful with these tight little corners where the papers is at. You don't have to get, these are, yeah, Gypsy Quilter. You don't have to get specific quilty ones. I'm sure these were far more expensive than they needed to be. You can just go to like Walmart, the dollar store, whatever, and grab some tweezers. I do like the really thin nosed ones though, because they really get in for the paper piecing. They really get in the tight spots. So if you can find those, grab yourself one of those, or even you can use the end of a seam ripper to help pull it out. That way you don't have to go get yourself, you know, a new tool. I am all for that as well. But I don't mind grabbing something from the dollar store that will help my speed and precision. And getting all the paper out of those seams definitely helps. All right. Now I'm going to listen to what the fabric's telling me, because we're going up against so few seams on this larger block. It may want to press to one side, and I'll be totally fine with that if that ends up telling me that that's what it wants to do. I'm totally fine with that. Yeah, I think that might be what we end up doing. Is just going to the one side, really hitting it with the magic juice so that it really lays down. And we should be good with going to one side instead of open on this section. If you go to one side when you're doing this, you really want to make sure that the one side you're pulling, like not so much that you're messing with the shape of the fabric, but you want to be holding it tight so it doesn't pucker. Since you're not opening it up all the way, you want to make sure that that larger piece of fabric is really pulled. Without doing what I just did, which was iron the last little bit of brown on itself. But that's all right. There we go. Got it back in place. So there we go. There's ABCD. Now we'll add E to the party. Now this one I'm going to pay a little bit of attention to because where it's meeting here, this little this little hoe, this little piece of chocolate fabric, HO needs to line up with the three pieces coming together. So the CF HO up UP needs to match with the HO RH SL. And so I'm going to want to pay really good attention to that because I want it to be as close as possible to perfection. And so I'm going to go ahead and do the auditioning it. Oh, I keep picking up little pieces of paper. So we'll use our pins to get these sections together. There. And this one corner, there's three seams coming together. So you might have to like fiddle with getting the pin to come through where all that comes together. But there we go. It wasn't too bad. Back out. There. Whoa, almost lost this end. All right. So I'm going to do, these are like I don't know what they're called, but they have like the flower head. That's too big. I'm going to use the little glass ball head pins to do the airplane-y bit for this one so that I can fold it back and audition on the 1/4 inch where I need to be paying extra attention to, where I want these pieces to really come together nicely. So again, airplaning in, making sure I'm on the sew line, coming back out Sew line there. Coming back out on the sew line. No, that wasn't in the right spot. So let's try it again. Here we go. Yep, there we go. All right, so I'm going to remove this end because I've just pinned that down close to this end. I'm not going to worry about this part right now, but I'm going to go ahead and flip this up to audition with the flatter glass head and make sure that I'm folding as close to the sew line as I can get. It's not perfect, but I want to look to make sure that these points are coming together. I might do it this way too to get a look at both sides. And yeah, I can see I'm pretty happy with where these are gonna come. Again, it's not perfect because the pin is kind of in the way, but I can see that these pieces are coming together where I believe they should be. So I'm confident enough to go ahead and pin down here. On this side, oops, I got the paper caught in the pin. Go ahead and make sure that these line up. And do the airplane. And this is much easier because this is just two pieces of fabric coming together. There's not as much seam allowance to get in the way of where the pin is going in and where it's coming out. Not quite on the sew line back there. So let's pull this back out. There we go. All right. Now I'm happy with both ends. And I will start sewing. Oh, I was wrong. I will not start sewing because my machine decided to come unthreaded. Oh well. Do this real fast. While I'm threading, Arnie, does anybody have any questions? Is everybody feeling pretty confident? Does anybody have another way that they line up their areas? This is definitely where you can do like a longer stitch length for a basting stitch along the sew line. And then audition if you're happy where the sections are joining. All right, I'm going to slow down because I'm now at where that the three, so it's like 6 layers of fabric all coming together in one spot. I'm going to take my time going over that. All right. Oh yeah, I'm happy with that. So this is where those pieces meet, come together, and I'm happy with where they join forces there in the center. So mini blue jays stick. Let's do it this way because that's the foot laying on it. This end of the stick looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and pull the papers out and press it open, probably just because of all of that area of all those 6 seams coming together can get hanky. Go on that side. Don't forget the other side. I've done that sometimes where if I'm taking apart a lot of seams, I'll forget to do one of the sides. All right. Now, if you are pre-cutting out your fabrics, it's the B1 block is the one that has a lot of fabric in it, for sure. That's the biggest or the heaviest section of fabric. So you'll be cutting a lot, but there is absolutely enough fabric. So if you make any little mistakes or anything like that, there's enough fabric to cover it all. Oh, good timing. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit as I'm working on this last scene, talk a little bit about next week. We'll be putting together all of the blocks to finish up the little mini blue jay, and then tearing out papers. I will put blocks A1 and A2 together. I'll fix that area that was annoying me this morning, and I'll have those two together. But B1 and B2, I'll actually sew together with you guys live on next Sunday morning for brunch, so that you can see, putting blocks together. And so that we'll do that next week. And then put B1, B2 together with A1, A2. I really like so this is just a quad finished project, but when I'm doing the larger projects, when I'd first done them with legit kits, I was doing all of row A together. But doing the block of the month had us doing them in quads, 4 block sections, and I've really fallen in love with doing that. So I would start doing that on all of them now. If I need to start working on the jet for my son. So as I'm doing that, I'm gonna do putting them together in quads and in 4s. So if it's, it would be A1, A2, B1, B2, A3, A4, B3, B4, and put them together in those kinds of sections. And then build those into quads to finish the 8x8, if that makes sense. So I'm always building in like 4 patches, basically. Okay, now I haven't hit this with magic juice yet, but that's where those pieces come together. So it's kind of still bumpy because I haven't, again, hit it with the juice that makes it lay super flat. But there's this little foot. Look at his little foot. So that'll be next week. We'll put him all together. But this is like him, his front half on his little perch. So there we go. We'll move his body down a little bit. So that's what we'll be putting together next week. We are almost done. Oh, it's going to take me all week, Johanna, to get block B1 done because of how many pieces there are. It's going to take me, I feel you. I am a slow one too. So do not fret. Plus, the awesome thing about having the video about it is you can always come back, and you can email me at any time. So there's that. But thank you guys so much. I'm so excited to see her come together. Here, let's see her little face. It's so cute. So excited to see it come together. I'm so happy to be sewing this together with you. We will wrap her up next Sunday. And next Sunday, I'll talk a little bit more about what my plans are. Once I've gotten my first week of the new job under my belt. So we'll talk a little bit about what the future of SleighArts on YouTube is going to look like. Woo! Yeah. So everybody have a fantastic week. Be safe. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Please feel free to email me. My email is in the description box below. Reach out to me if you have any questions. Send me pictures so I can help walk you through if there's a funky section that you're having problems with. And yeah, I will see you next week. Thank you all so much. Let me find my mouse. And I will see you then. Bye, everybody.